body. Starting in a standing position, feet planted firmly in the ground. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, forward fold. Just letting those hands come down, a nice bend in the knees. Inhale, halfway lift, straighten out the back. Exhale to forward fold. Jumping back to a low plank. Moving through that upward facing dog, pushing back to a downward facing dog. And just finding your balance. Now we're jumping right into this, so I might recommend doing the 15-minute warm-up before you do this class. Inhale, high on your toes, jumping to your hands. Exhale, forward fold, taking a nice bend in the knees. Inhale your arms up, come up to standing. And exhale, releasing those arms down by your side, Tadasana. So taking whatever modification you need for this sun salutation. Inhale, the arms come up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift and lengthen, straightening out that spine. Exhale, palms go down to the mat. You can step or jump back to that high plank, moving through low plank or maybe doing knees, chest, chin. Inhale to upward facing dog, thighs come off the mat. Exhale, downward facing dog, pushing those hips up to the sky, engaging the shoulders. Inhale, sweeping that left leg high to the sky. Nice straight line from toes to shoulders. And then exhale, bringing it through, letting those arms come up for warrior one. So your front leg, the knee directly over the ankle, facing forward. Back leg you can have up on your toe or at a 45-degree angle. Just finding your stability. Opening those hips, moving into warrior two, arms straight out, gaze over that front fingertips, but keeping that static lower body. Exhale, reverse your warrior, gaze still lifted at that top hand. Leaning back, your other arm can go down your leg or around your back, maybe even in a bind. Inhale, we come back up for warrior two, moving through warrior one. And then coming to that front lunge, stepping your foot back. On the next exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, come up, upward facing dog. And exhale, push back, downward facing dog. Finding the breath and the stillness. Remembering in that chaturanga, taking whatever is comfortable for us. Moving through to the other side. Inhale that leg high to the sky. Exhale, crunching it in, moving it with control through the hands. Inhale up to warrior one, finding whatever is flexible for that back foot, whether that be up on the toes or at that 45-degree angle with the heel down. Front leg stays static, 90-degree angle. Inhale, we open up to that warrior two, gaze over that front hand. Lower body static, get a little deeper if you can. Exhale, reverse your warrior, gaze lifts, that back hand goes down the leg or behind your back. Moving with each breath, coming back to warrior two, and then warrior one, following your own inhale and exhale, the arms come down. We step that foot back to our high plank. Low plank, keeping those elbows in, nice 90-degree angle in the arms, engaging that strength as we move through upward facing dog. And push back to downward facing dog, pedaling at your feet, seeing what in your body is now heated up, where we notice any tension, returning our breath to a steady, controlled pace. And then looking at the fingertips, step or jump to the front of your mat. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, forward fold a little bit deeper. Inhale your arms up to standing. And exhale, arms by your side. Inhale your arms back up. Exhale, forward fold. And we'll take just another modification of this sun salutation. So inhale, halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale, those palms go flat to the ground. We can step or jump back, but instead of moving through a vinyasa, just straight to that warrior one. Finding that comfortable, that balance, stability. Opening up to our warrior two, following the breath, keeping that core tight, finding that foundation for stability. We reverse the warrior, the gaze lifts, little micro bend in the back. And then moving back up through warrior two, this time opening up for side angle. So hinging at the waist, keeping that lower body static. Our right arm comes down to the mat. That can be fingertips, that can be on a block. And the left arm comes up overhead, looking at almost at that armpit, at that inner arm, using your core to bring you back up to center, scooting those feet a little bit closer together, straightening that front leg, and then coming down on the side, bringing that same arm down, whether that be to your shin, to your fingertips, to a block. Cartwheeling those hands down, meeting me back in a front lunge, stepping that right leg back, high plank, and then moving through whatever chaturanga is comfortable for you. Maybe you're down on your knees, maybe knees, chest, chin, but just following that breath through the vinyasa, upward facing dog, downward facing dog, and then coming back into that plank position, getting a nice, strong, stable core, and then bringing that left leg forward. Inhaling, the arms come up to warrior one, finding whichever variation suits us best. Opening up into warrior two, finding nice stability in that lower body. Straight line from our knee to our ankle on that front leg, hips facing the side, gaze facing forward. And then exhale, moving into our reverse warrior. Gaze stays lifted, that back hand can go down the leg or behind your back. Coming back up, using our core for warrior two, and this time moving into side angle pose. So hinging at the waist, keeping that static lower body, bringing that left hand down to the block, to the floor, to the fingertips, extending that right arm overhead. And then inhale, coming back up, heel toe those feet a little bit closer together, straightening that front leg for triangle pose. So with that same hinge at the waist, hips open to the side, we bring our hand down to a block, to our shin, to the floor, finding that position, coming back to warrior two, cartwheeling our hands down, moving through another chaturanga, finding whatever works for your pace, for your breath. This vinyasa, this part of the flow, is intended to return you back to your breath, the movement, the stillness. Inhale, come high on your toes, step or jump forward. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, we lift and lengthen. And exhale, fold a little bit deeper. Inhaling those arms high to the sky. And exhale, arms come down. Inhale, the arms up. And exhale, forward fold. Dropping those hands to the mat. Inhale, we lift and lengthen. Exhale, we fold a little bit deeper. Just stepping that right leg back. Dropping the knee, unhooking the toes. And coming into front lunge. Inhale those arms up as we sink that hip lower to the ground, making sure our knee isn't going over our toe. Exhale, the hands come back down, and then shifting that left leg out to the side, coming onto the outer edge of the foot, maybe even using your left hand to gently open that hip a little bit further. Feel yourself really sinking into this hip stretch. And then coming back to center, moving that foot in between the hands again. And bringing it all the way over to pigeon pose. So you can use a block or a pillow underneath that hip. You can stay up or you can do resting pigeon. But that front leg, the more parallel it is to the mat, the more of a hip stretch it's going to be. The closer it is to your groin, the more comfortable it's going to be. Keeping that back leg straight, making sure the foot doesn't go all crazy, and just finding something or some way to be comfortable in the discomfort of this pose. Allow your hips to release, feel that tension melting away as you sit in something that might not feel so great. If you're in resting pigeon, inhale, come up, sitting on that outer hip, crossing that back leg over in front of you and hugging your knee to your chest. So stretching what was that back leg, the outer hip. This is the counter pose, cow facing pose. So when we stay in that pigeon pose for a long time, we always want to bring those hips back together. And then bringing those legs out in front of you, shaking them out. The same leg that we've been working, we're going to do an inner rotation stretch. So just bringing that one back to whatever side it's on, a 90-degree angle, that foot flexed behind you. You can bring your front leg also to a 90-degree angle if that first one's a little bit too much, but you want to keep your hips straight forward. So you can even use your hand on that outer hip to sort of roll it in, get that inner rotation of that thigh. And then when you're done, hugging those knees into your chest, maybe shaking your legs out, doing whatever feels comfortable. Noticing the difference between the leg that we've already worked and the one that we haven't yet. Feeling that warmth, maybe it feels a little bit longer, maybe it feels just a little bit looser. And then coming back into a high plank and bringing the opposite leg forward for a front lunge. The knee comes down, untuck the toes. Inhale, the arms come up, and we just sink deeper into that new hip. Feeling it open, maybe taking a micro bend in our back, opening up our gaze to the sky, really just creating that C curve of that hip to open it up. And then bringing our arms down, scooting our leg out to the side, and just bringing ourselves to the outer edge of our foot, maybe pushing the hip open a little bit further with our hand for lizard pose. And then moving our foot all the way through, coming back to pigeon pose. So taking whatever variation that you took before, maybe you stayed up for a little bit and then you went down into resting pigeon. Maybe your foot was completely straight, your leg was completely in line with the mat, maybe it was closer to your groin. Finding whatever you did on one side, knowing that one side will always be more open than the other, and just meeting your body where it's at. Breathing into the discomfort. Anytime you feel tension, notice where it is in your body, and can you bring your breath to that area of your body? Can you sit with that discomfort a little bit longer? And then when you're ready, coming up, leaning onto that outer edge of your hip, bringing that opposite leg forward, hugging the knee to your chest for a nice gentle counter pose. You can bring a little twist into it. You can hug the knee to your chest a little bit harder, maybe bounce it. Bring that back foot a little closer to your butt. Just find a position that's comfortable for you as we let our hips soak in all of the goodness that we've done for them so far in this class. And then moving through to that same inner rotation stretch. So bringing our legs out in front of us. And then taking our working leg back at a 90-degree angle. That foot is flexed. Our hips stay facing forward. Our front leg can be straight or can be also at a 90-degree angle, but engaged. And then just rolling that hip forward onto the ground. Finding a little inner rotation that maybe most of us are unfamiliar with. And when you're ready, bringing both of those legs forward, hugging your knees to your chest. You can do a little bit of rocking back and forth and opening your legs up into a straddle. And we're going to just rock back and forth. So hands on our hips, legs open, feet flexed, engaged, and just rock back and forth. Getting ready for our leg lifts. So fingertips can be on either side of your ankle, your knee, or your thighs. The lower down you are, the harder it's going to be. And you just lift one side. So your torso is turned towards your working leg, and we just go with maybe 3 to 5 leg lifts. Point the toe, engage the hip, and lift. And then moving to the other side, doing 3 or 5. And then whenever you need to take a break, hugging those knees into your chest, because this one is tough, okay? This one is going to challenge you. So when you're ready, opening back up to that straddle. Maybe you were just doing it by your thighs and you want to stay there. That's enough for you. Maybe you want a hand on either side of your knee, engaging your lower core a bit, making it a bit harder for you. Just finding a challenge, one that you can work through, but also remembering it's not a competition. We can play with maybe putting a block in front of us, bringing our leg back and forth over top. We can just simply sit in the straddle and move our hips back and forth and feel into it, just meeting our body wherever it's at in these new and unfamiliar positions. And then inhale, arms come up. Exhale, coming down to the left-hand side, opening up that side body. making sure we don't collapse our chest over our leg, but stay open in the side. And switching sides, our toes can be flexed, they can be pointed, just engaging those legs, engaging the core, bringing yourself back up to center. And then this time you're going to face your torso towards one leg, go down, moving through center on your fingertips or maybe just with your core through to the other side. So we're not doing any static holds. We're moving, rolling through this entire range of motion. So down to the right, fingertips all the way over to the left, coming up and then down to the left, switching, rolling all the way through the right hand side, hugging those knees into your chest, and then releasing your body all the way to the ground, grabbing your strap, placing it around your right foot, the pad of your foot, and just pulling that leg towards you, one hand on either side of the strap. Bottom leg is flexed, engaged, as we just pull. Maybe our shoulders come up off the mat, bringing that nose to the knee, enhancing the stretch a little bit. As we're pulling, making sure our elbows are coming out, we're really opening up the shoulders and that chest. And then taking the straps in one hand and twisting down towards that opposite side, wringing out the spine. It's okay if we roll onto the outer edge of that foot that's still straight down. And then using our core to bring that leg back up and open it out to the right hand side. Right elbow can come down to the mat, maybe to a block if our leg isn't there all the way. And then we inhale that leg back up. Exhale, bending the knee, pulling it into our armpit. So taking all of the straps in your right hand, or maybe taking the outer edge of your right foot into your hand, and just grounding that knee down into the armpit, opening that hip, and then closing it off a little bit as we hug that knee to our chest, squeezing it tight, and then releasing it back down. Switching sides, the left leg comes up, the strap goes around the pad of the foot as we pull that left leg towards us. Our bottom leg stays engaged. We can take a slight bend in the leg, in the knee if we need to. We can lift our shoulders up off the mat to enhance the stretch. And then taking those straps in the right hand, twisting over to the right side, coming up maybe onto the outer edge of that right leg as we roll, but trying to keep that left shoulder down. That's where our gaze goes, to just really enhance the twist. Using the core, bringing the foot back up to center, and then opening it up to the left-hand side. Keeping your opposite hand on your hip, perhaps, to keep them even. Engaging that core again, bringing the foot up, taking the strap in just the left hand as we bend that left knee, getting it into our armpit. Really feeling into that half baby stretch before we hug the knee to our chest, squeezing it tight, and then releasing it back down to the ground. Finding Shavasana, closing our eyes, and just thanking ourselves for our practice today, for putting in the effort, feeling the way that the body integrates this practice. Thanks for joining 20 Minute Lower Body.